1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, and welcome back to It's Not a Sport, Season 3, Episode 27. We only got a couple more episodes to go. I'm going to end the show at Episode 30, and then, of course, we will have a wrap-up special holiday episode, as we always do. So look forward to these last couple episodes, because they're definitely going to be some good ones. Now, quick reminder, as always, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe if you want to find all of our past shows or listen to our shows on Spotify, SoundCloud, and our YouTube channel. All the links are in the description below, as well as our social media where you can follow us for cool art and what's going on in the gaming industry. So, with further ado, let's get into our main talk this week, which is, of course, about VR. I want to talk about VR just following off of kind of last week's talk of horror games and how bring you into the atmosphere and really being immersed in the game really brings the game to life. And I think that is what applies to VR. And VR games are relatively new. A lot of them haven't, the industry, the whole concept of VR hasn't really caught on too well. But as I've been watching some of my favorite YouTubers and favorite streamers kind of play VR more, it comes to me that over the course of this last couple years, the VR industry, or how VR games are made, have really been flushed out. When I first experienced VR, I experienced it with Beat Saber and Super Hot, and those games are very, very good because they're there and grounding you in the moment and what's going on around you. And that's when VR really shines, where Half-Life Alyx is one of those games where that grounds you in the moment. Is probably the biggest revelation for VR games. I recently watched the Walking Dead VR game, which is very good, and bringing you as a survivor as the Walking Dead. And VR really does that because it can do something that other video games can't, which is apply realism into the games. And realism in actions, so to speak, because you take an example of Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild's realism comes from thinking, so to speak. Like, I can cut down this tree to build a bridge, or set a fire to get air so I can glide. And it comes from realism of physics and how the world works, but not really as the player, as Link doesn't really have to do that. You don't have to do that. But in VR, if there is an obstacle in the way, you can think, okay, can I climb this somehow? Can I physically open this door? That's where realism comes in a little bit more. So it comes in more in the action rather than the world. And I think that's a very big part of VR game design that we are going to know moving forward. For example, I think there's in Half-Life Alyx, there's a board that you can write on. And that's like a point of realism that you can't do in a game like Breath of the Wild. In Breath of the Wild, you can't take Link and go, write in the sand really with a pen or a pencil or anything like that, or just like a stick, or you can't do that in those type of games. But in VR, you can. So that's one of the aspects why I think VR is just really important, and why it's going to be really important moving forward. The other thing with VR is what other video games can't do is it's more physical. And this is where things get a little dicey, I would say, because we've seen the past where physical things work with the Wii and then they don't work with the Xbox, forget what it's for, Connect. So it's a very weird balance of like, do people want to sit on their couches or in a chair and play a video game, or do they actually want to work out? And VR kind of, I think, meets that middle ground where, yes, I can sit in the computer with a VR headset and maybe sit up to a chair like mine that I have that I can go 360 in it, and play a game with the mouse and keyboard, or I can stand up, actually physically move around with the VR controllers and do it that way and get my exercise that way, or I could just do it normally. And VR allows you to do both options, which is really, really cool. And I think that using VR for workout purposes really will be nice for as we move forward, especially during quarantine, where a lot of us are in home and we can't get out, or maybe we're just homebodies like me. Using Beat Saber for a workout is actually really nice. I was just thinking last night I would really like to have Beat Saber so I could do a little workout. I know my friend that does have it, he says that it is a real workout, and that's what he does, to burn his calories, etc., etc. So that having VR for that, having VR moving forward for physical therapy, for medical purposes, video games can be used in these types of fields. They actually are. There's a lot of apps that are learning that people develop for medical students, etc., etc. There's things like that. If you think outside of the realm of entertainment and inside the realm of different businesses helping people, even if certain shows meme it, like you meeting your boss in a VR chat room or something like that is possible, and VR opens up that gate to being a little bit more than just entertainment. It can also be a way to, again, going back to physical, help yourself be more physical, immerse yourself in a movie theater. Like maybe that's the new way that movie theaters can do that moving forward, since no one's going to movie theaters in COVID. VR opens up a whole new realm of possibilities that normal video games through a screen doesn't. And that's why I think you should really kind of keep your eyes on it moving forward. Now, what's the biggest problem with VR? And I think it can come down to two big major issues that VR has to tackle right now. One is space. I don't think a lot of people have the space in their homes and their living rooms to really make VR work. If you look at my room, if you're watching the VOD on the camera right now, right behind my chair is my bed, and you could actually see my door. I'm in a very small space, and I, because of that, I can't have the camera set up. I can't do a VR headset because I don't have the space to do so. And that's the first major issue that, well, the developers themselves can't really solve, but that's an issue of people. Now, after the space is the price point. If we look at the Valve Index, which is the latest Valve VR headset, right? And we look at the price points right now to buy a console. Let's say you want a console, right? New console come out the 11th and the 12th of November. It's $500, okay? Which is a lot for maybe the average household to drop right off the bat. But it's still, I would say, affordable for a console. Add another 60, maybe 560 for a console in one game to play. And then discounting that, you also have free games like Fortnite or your back library if you already had an Xbox or PS4 before. So there's that. When it comes to VR, however, you need a powerful machine computer that can run it. That costs you probably about $1,000, so that's $1,000. And then on top of that, you need the headset. The headset alone that Valve is pricing it is another $500. That's the price of a console. You're basically buying a new console, but you still need your PC and the games in order to do it. So that's $1,500, and then plus another $60, so $1,560 to actually play it. Now, that's just the headset. You need, if you want to do the whole immersive things, you need the cameras and you need the controllers, which all comes with the Valve controllers. So pricing those together, they price it at $750 on top of the PC, on top of the games. It just becomes a little bit not unaffordable. And then if you want the speakers, and then they even include Half-Life Alyx for you, it's $1,000. So $2,000 for a good PC that can run it, a VR headset, and a game. it's really not affordable, I don't think, at this price, and that's usually the biggest barrier to entry when it comes to any game. When it comes to PC games, the biggest barrier of entry is that a lot of people in households don't have power enough machines to run Cyberpunk or The Witchers or any of those games coming out. They don't have a powerful enough machine to do that. So they opt out for the cheaper and more accessible option is the console, and the console has a better barrier to entry. But then if you want to play exclusive games, like if I want to play Gears of War, I would have to, the console's a gate to Gears of War. If I want to play The Last of Us, PS4, PS5 is the gate to The Last of Us. So there's that gate for all VR games, and that's a $500 gate now. But for VR games, it's about a $700, $800 gate to play a VR game with the Valve Index. And of course, I know there's probably cheaper options, but I'm just using Valve as an example, and that is a lot. It's a lot. People probably can't afford that in their households, and that's probably the biggest barrier to entry that VR is facing right now. Anyway, with further ado, that's going to be really our talk. VR is really something that I think is going to be big moving forward, so I definitely think that you should keep your eyes on it. If you haven't tried it, there's actually a lot of places out there, at least in Chicago, that you can go and you can actually test out VR, and there's a VR gaming lab, and there's a VR museum, I believe. So definitely Google and do your research, and you can find places to actually check out and do VR, because it is a really fun experience, and I think everyone should give it a try at least once, no matter if you're not interested in it. Definitely check out Beat Saber and definitely check out Super Hot, because those are kind of the grounding VR games, and it does remind you of the Wii. It is a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to do, so I definitely highly recommend that if you have a chance to do it, do it. All right, that's gonna be the talk. Let's get into the news right about now. All right, and we are back. So let's get into some news real fast. Not a whole lot of news, but some fun things to talk about. First off, I wanted to mention that there's a new Steins something being announced. If you don't know what Steins is, it's an action adventure franchise. It is a visual novel that came out in 2007, 2009, and they actually did an anime adaptation. It's called SteinsGate. It is one of my favorite and highly recommended time travel series that I've discovered this year. So if you want to really get mind fucked, I would say definitely check this series out. And it's really cool that something new is going to be announced for it, because I really actually am a fan of how they did things in that series, and I want to check out the other spin-offs and adaptations and stuff as well. But definitely check this out if you haven't already. Then we have the PS4 or PS5 chat update. They recently updated the PS4 that it will record your PlayStation party now. And people were really mad about this, about breach of privacy, and they don't want to be recorded, etc. It's the combat, maybe toxicity, racism, etc. But people are really up about this, so just know that if you're in a PlayStation chat now, you are being recorded. I think actually by law, however, generally any chat service, they have to have some sort of record recording logs for it to work. And that goes for any in-game chat service, but I guess this one was too much for people, etc. So I believe that's how it is. And because of this, funny thing, my friend told me that now people just use in-game chat rather than PlayStation chat, which I think is really funny. So we also have a Sakura Shadows Die Twice update. They added some new things, new challenge modes to bosses. It's a Game of the Year Edition 2. It launches the 28th, so in a couple days. Really cool to see them still kind of supporting Sakura Shadows Die Twice. It was Game of the Year of 2019. It was a really, really, really good game. If you haven't played it, definitely check that one out. It's difficult. If you want a challenge, it's really fun, and the game wants you to progress moving forward. So definitely check out Sakura. It was my game of the year of last year too. But then we also have, we talked about this a little bit last week, but single JoyCons have been dropped here in the US as well. They are now $40, still hella expensive if you ask me. But yeah, it's the combat drift again. We talked about this last week, but they're cheaper here now as well. I guess that's good if you are needing a new single Joy-Con. I'm sure there's probably knockoff versions of these that you can buy. That's what a lot of people kind of do when they buy their controllers, just because these are already super expensive. Apex Legends comes on November 4th to Steam. We already knew about this. We knew it was going to come to Steam eventually, but now we actually have a date for it. Starting with Season 7, it seems like it will come to Steam on November 4th, which is really nice because if you don't want to use the Origin client, I think now you don't have to. Fuck the Origin client. So, rumored, it's out there. LCK, if you watch League of Legends, is franchising next split or next season, and some of the teams are already out there. They haven't officially announced this because like they were waiting for After Worlds, which will be next weekend. So yeah, but the teams that made it are Sandbox Gaming, Afrika Freaks, Damwon Gaming, KT Roster, Team Dynamic, Hane1 Life, Dragon X, Genji Esports, T1, and Hey Fresh Blade. They're the only new team that made it in. I'm actually excited. I hope these are the teams that made it in, because I know that there is a early rumor that FaZe Clan was trying to buy a spot in LCK, which I really didn't want to see. So that didn't happen, hopefully. So I'm really happy that these teams that made it in. It's basically the entire already LCK roster. No real shakeups like when North America did it. Twitch. If you know Twitch, it is the big streaming website, and it has a huge controversy going on right now with DMCA takedowns. Basically, in the music industry, is cracking down on pirating their songs, or not, officially using their songs, as they always have. The music industry has always kind of done this every once in a while. They did it like early 2000, as if you don't know, like how LimeWire disappeared and stuff with pirating music. And they are doing it to Twitch streamers who are playing background music in their VODs, and their Twitch lawyers got in and all got legal, and Twitch just deleted all these streamers' VODs without them kind of warning them or backing them up and telling them that they'll probably have to delete many future VODs moving forward, which really kind of sucks. There needs to be some sort of new laws and criteria in place when it comes to music, specifically, especially with how so many people use music as just a background thing when they're like doing content, and it sells the song, because like maybe there's a song that like a small indie company never knows, and you're like, oh, what's that song? And you just hear it, and now you know about it. So streamers benefit. They're free advertising for both video games and music, and doing this, I really think the music industry as a whole just needs to do something, because it's a dying industry. Because unlike movies, unlike video games, you can now make a song in your bathroom, in your bedroom, and post it. It's not what it used to be. So these copyright laws really need to be redefined, but this is really sad for just a lot of Twitch streamers who are now losing a lot of their history with their VODs being deleted. All right, so now with that out of the way, spoilers alert, let's move into Esports. What happened this week? Who won their games? The semifinals of League of Legends 2020 World Championship. We had G2 Gaming, or G2 Esports, versus Damwon, and Top Esports versus Sunny. They both concluded this morning. Let's start with Damwon and G2 Game 1, where Damwon won against G2. It was a really, not a stomp, but it was a really fast game, and Damwon ending in 28 minutes, but it doesn't stop there. In Game 2, we had G2 taking a game off Damwon with a 33-minute game. Then in game 3, a 31-minute game in favor of Damwon, and then the final game went to Damwon with a 19 minutes and 3 seconds, which is really fucking fast. Games are generally maybe average 25 to 30. That was 19 minutes. It was really fast in favor of Damwon. Congratulations to Damwon to moving up to the finals. And then on the other side of the bracket, we had Top, the favorites to win the tournament, versus Sunning. And Sunning wins the first game in about a 30-minute game. And then we have Top Esports winning the second, Sunning winning the third, and Sunning winning the fourth. So Sunning also moves forward to the finals. Congratulations to them. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means my pick'ems is completely screwed, and it means that, or it partially screwed. If Damwon wins, I had Damwon winning, so it's partially screwed. But that means that next weekend on the 31st, Halloween, we will have Damwon Gaming, Korea's first seed, versus Sunning, Chinese third seed, going off head to head for the 2020 World Championship titles and cups in their own skins and games, etc., etc. Definitely something to look forward to. I'm really excited for these games. I haven't seen the Top Esports semifinal games to see how Top lost. They were the favorites going into the tournament. Everyone thought they were going to win. So this was really surprising to see that Sunning has made it. Tito, you got me on this one. So now we will see what's going to happen next week. Moving forward, we have our final game releases for this week. We have Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Crown Tundra, coming out on the Switch. That came out October 22nd. Then we had a Transformers game, a Ghost Runner game. Watchdog Legions comes out the 29th. So this week, as long as Pikeman comes out on the 30th as well. So in Auto Chess for the PlayStation 4 comes out on the 31st. So we got a little bit of fun games before we get into November, which again, then we get Assassin's Creed, a bunch of re-releases for the new generation of console, and of course what everyone's been waiting for, Cyberpunk 2077. Also some really cool news that I also wanted to just bring up. The Mandalorian comes out on the 31st, the second season as well. So looking forward to that. Anyway, that's going to conclude this week's show of It's Not a Sport. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us. It always helps me out to know what you guys are thinking, what you guys are feeling moving forward into the end of the year and into the big hype up season for the gaming industry, which is the holiday season. So yeah, there's that. If you want to listen to all of our past shows, they're on our YouTube channel. That's where we all archived our shows. You can listen to our most recent shows on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. They're all up on there. They all get uploaded at the same time, so definitely check those out. If you want to listen to some of our music playlists, or follow us on our Instagram where we post our art and some really cool stuff, that is down in the description below. You can find everything you want down, links in the description below. This has been your host, Salty Waffles, signing off, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful climb.